Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Brittany D. Bodley, and I am super excited to talk to you today about makeup techniques. We're going to go over a very quick introduction to this course, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the following things today. So we are going to look at information about the industry, a quick overview just about supplies, and we're going to talk a little bit about this course and what a schematic is, looking at definitions, examples, and moving us into our next module for tutorials and things like that. All right, so today's beauty. The global beauty market is predicted to bring in about $265 billion this year alone. It's estimated that the American woman spends upwards of $200,000 on beauty cosmetics just for the face in her lifetime. Now, factoring in all of these variables, the average American woman spends about $10 a day on beauty. So with all of that being said, just consider how you contribute to this industry, especially if you're interested in work as a makeup artist. So looking at beauty, we have a fun saying in my family that it's not safety first, it's safety third. So that can sometimes apply to the beauty industry as well, and here's why. So despite a booming US cosmetics industry and a growing interest in something called clean beauty, specifically the US government has no legal authority to control the health and safety of cosmetic products or ingredients for the consumer market. Now, the FDA's legal authority over cosmetics is different from our authority over other products that we regulate, such as drugs, biologics, or even medical devices. So under the law, cosmetic products and ingredients do not need FDA pre-market approval. So what that means for us is that companies and individuals who manufacture or even market cosmetics have a legal responsibility to ensure the safety of their products. Neither the law nor FDA regulations require specific tests to demonstrate the safety of the individual products or the ingredients. Now, the law also does not require cosmetic companies to share their safety information with the FDA. Recalls of cosmetics are like a voluntary action taken typically by the manufacturers, sometimes the distributors, to remove from the marketplace products that represent a hazard or gross deception of somehow that product is defective. So how do you stay informed if there aren't regulations or laws that are really here to help support you as a consumer? There are people out there doing the good work. One of the apps that I frequent often is called Clearia. So clean products are not always clean. A lot of times that is a bit of a marketing ploy, and they're not always free of known toxins. So a way that you can stay safe and informed is with companies like Clearia. So if you go to this app, it's incredible. You can type in the product that you're using, or you can take a picture of it or upload it from Amazon or Target or wherever you're shopping, and it will give you the information about the product, about if something is a known toxin and how safe it is to use. What's really great about Clearia and why it's my preferred app is that it is helpful to judge whether or not the products that you use have things in them that are coded or worded uniquely so that you may not know it's a toxin. It's just another step to help keep you safe and make sure that the stuff that you're putting on your body that gets absorbed into your skin is the best that you can put on there. Just because there's so many different products that are coming out at such a fast pace, I think that an app like Clearia is just really great to have just for your usage. And if you are a makeup artist and you're working with someone who has an allergy or maybe even a sensitivity to something, this is also another really great app to make sure that you're not using a product on your client that could potentially cause them a reaction or harm. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about some supplies. we're going to look at what are some standard makeup supplies. We're not going to go into a big deep dive right now, but we're just going to go over some of the basics here and a lot of the things that you'll use in this class. So let's start with foundations because it is the foundation of what you're going to be putting on your face. So typically foundations feature a moisturizing base. They're going to have different base consistencies. They're going to have a makeup of either water, oil, or wax. On top of whichever base they're using, they're going to then combine with a filler, like a talc or a smooth distribution, something to even out that skin. So they're going to use pigments like iron oxide that are going to be added. And then there's going to be potentially other ingredients that get added to this foundation, like different oils or acids, depending on if you're buying a foundation that is specific for dry skin or for acne or for moisturizing skin. There'll be a variety of different other ingredients that they'll add into them. But typically there's going to be a base of water, oil, or wax. Now there are also so many different types of foundation, which can get crazy confusing if you don't know what all you're looking for in terms of a foundation and coverage and just what it may offer for you. So I find this illustration to be really, really helpful. So a liquid foundation, pretty simple. It is a liquid foundation. So typically it is going to have a water or oil base because it is liquid. A lot of them are going to be a light to medium coverage. And typically, though, they will be buildable, which means that you can put on multiple layers to expand the level of coverage. The level of coverage you're going to get from a liquid foundation depends on the amount of pigment that they put into it. So you've probably noticed certain foundations cover better than others. That would be due to the level of pigment that they're putting in versus whatever their oil to water base is. With liquid foundation, those are going to be used in several different ways. You could see a liquid foundation that is very much thinned out. That becomes a spray foundation, which is like into a spray aerosol type. You would use this typically for something that needs to be thinned out, maybe even for something like airbrush so that it's got like a more smoothed out effect on the skin. A mousse foundation is going to be a liquid foundation that is literally just whipped and it gets that thick consistency. It goes on a little bit airy. The thing that to note about a mousse foundation is it will go on nice and smooth and super airbrushed. And if you're like me and you survived the early 2000s, you know that that whipped foundation needs to be set properly because if not, she settles wherever she wants to. So just know if you're using a mousse foundation, you have to set it to not move and shape on you differently. Same thing for a cream foundation. A cream foundation is going to be a mix of a powder foundation with a liquid foundation that is congealed into a cream form. A lot of your special effects makeup will be cream based just because it's a thicker, like heavier coverage, which is great for a lot of the work that we do in stage and even like heavy coverage stuff to be like a tattoo covers up, and a lot of those you'll find are cream makeups and foundations. A stick foundation, you're going to typically see this in concealers. It's going to be a heavier buildable coverage just because it is typically a cream foundation that is even more concentrated and packed in. So looking at powder foundations, you're going to have a variety of those. So you could have a pressed powder foundation. It's just powder that gets finely pressed in. You'll see this technique used a lot for like eyeshadows and things like that. A cream to powder foundation. These are really great because they go on with that nice cream finish. They're also a little bit more buildable, but they settle in like a powder, similar to a mineral foundation. So this is also a powder that tends to be a little bit more clean in terms of the ingredients and simple mineral bases. So with that being said, consider what your foundation base is in terms of what you're layering on top of it, because you may find, especially in this course when we get into some of the special effects stuff, that let's say your foundation is great, but the color pigment that you want to use to make yourself look like a mermaid just is fighting with your foundation color. So we may need to play a little bit about what those pieces are and how we layer them. One of the things I will also say is if you want to show defined lines, use a powder. So for example, someone like me who is knocking on that AARP card door, I'm not going to use a powder foundation. It's going to eventually, as the day goes on, it's going to set into my fine lines and wrinkles, and it's going to accentuate those. And that's not something typically that I'm wanting to go out into the world and sport. So with that, I'm going to typically use more of a liquid foundation. I personally rarely wear foundation, and if I do, I wear like a BB cream, which is just a sunscreen that has just a little bit of tinted pigment in it. So there are things that you can use in terms of your foundation depending on what level of coverage that you want and what look you're going for as well. So moving us then into eyeliners and eyeshadows. So eyeliners, they're going to work similar to the same way that you would think about a number 2 pencil. They're typically going to work with a film former and a thickener. The film former is the line of the makeup that you paint around your eye, and that thickener helps you that former to stay put. So the eyeliners typically have various pigments. They're also using a lot of iron oxide in them. Now eyeliners you can get in a pencil form, you can have a gel, you can have a liquid. All of these things are going to be the same former and thickener typically, just with different oil, water, wax bases. So eyeshadows, similar, right? So you rely on a variety of pigments that are mixed with a base filler and a binder typically with eyeshadows. So there's going to be a base that's going to be typically made out of like a talc or a mica. And then binders are typically going to be a magnesium derivative. So cream eyeshadows, however, are going to have a wax or an oil base for a long lasting color. Now, someone who loved a good cream eyeshadow, I will say they're one of my favorites, but you also have to set it if you're someone like me who has hooded eyes, right? And you are working with a foundation that maybe doesn't have the same mixture of wax or oil. So make sure that if you love a good cream eyeshadow like I do, that you're pairing it with things that keep that beautiful pigment long lasting, and where you put it, because if not, that cream stuff will move all over. All right, so additional special effects supplies that we'll use in this class. Liquid latex, it is what it says. It is latex, but in a liquid form. You will find that a lot of people who have a latex allergy are going to be super duper sensitive to liquid latex. So if you have a latex allergy, please do not use liquid latex. Another disclaimer I will say about liquid latex is it has quite an odor. Once it's dried, that odor dissipates though. There are going to be adhesives that we'll use in this class. If you get one of the typical special effects kits, it's going to come with spirit gum, which is the adhesive, and a very specific spirit gum remover. If I'm doing a project where I need something to stay on, and it's got to stay on through, all the sweating and hours of work, and I need it to basically be with me through the apocalypse, I'm going to use a medical grade adhesive called Pros-Aide. I love it. I stand by it. I think it's fabulous, but there's no need to spend the money on that for this course unless you're trying to go out and do a performance where you're sweating for hours in your makeup. If that's in your future, go ahead and start working with that product. But if not, the spirit gum and the spirit gum remover will work just perfect for you. Nose and scar wax is another one that we will use. I will say scar wax is probably one of my favorite products. The Ben Nye Scar Wax specifically works really, really well. It's probably my favorite out of all of them, and one of the more affordable ones. We'll also use a lot of different stage bloods, especially when we get into all the core looks and stuff like that. There are multiple different kinds of stage bloods that you can use. If you want something that is more liquid based, or there's even like blood jams to where it's a little bit more congealed. There's a variety of these that you can use. So pick your favorite or one that fits within your budget or your needs. We're also going to use a lot of color wheels or palettes. So this is basically just a palette that's got a variety of colors. This could be powder, it could be creams. There's a palette that I love that's on Amazon. It's a CC Beauty palette. It's under $20. It's a Sephora dupe. It's, I think, somewhere upwards of like 12 different colors. It's fantastic in terms of cream colors. And I think it even comes with brushes. There's so many options for this. So don't feel like you have to spend crazy amounts of money to be able to have a really great special effects supply kit. And other pieces that we will use are like some standards in terms of basic corrective makeup. So mascaras, they're typically going to get their color from carbon and also our favorite, iron oxide. This is going to stay on your lashes due to things like waxes and oils, typically like petroleum jelly. Mascara was actually created using petroleum jelly, and it's still a major ingredient in most mascaras today. So lipsticks, now these are typically going to be made from wax, oil, sometimes a different type of water-based moisturizer, and obviously various pigments. So a tube of lipstick, if it is wax-based, you're going to know if it's expired when it starts to smell hardcore like a crayon due to its wax content. Now, some of our more modern lipsticks and lip glosses and lip tints are going to have a lot of drying agents in them. That's how they get their long-lasting absorption into the skin. So be sure, since you're using a heavier binder, to continue to moisturize the lip to keep that color staying long-lasting. So if you have any questions about specific makeup supplies, please reach out to me individually. I'm so happy to answer any of those questions. Additional makeup supplies that you may need are going to be brushes. There are 1,000 different cosmetic makeup brushes. As you can see here, there's like specific things that people will tell you. This is your fine eyeliner brush, and this one is specifically your foundation brush. And then there's beauty blenders that you should also use for foundation. And here's the thing I'm going to tell you. If a brush works for you, it does not have to be just your eyeliner brush. In fact, I prefer to use a slope angle brush for my eyebrows. That is not what it's for. I prefer to use a beauty blender versus a foundation brush. I prefer a lot of times in special effects makeup to use my finger. My index finger ends up being a lot of the times one of my favorite brushes. Also with brushes, if you're getting brushes from a cosmetic store or even in a cosmetic section of a drugstore, you are going to be paying sometimes upwards of 3 times as much for a brush that is a less quality than if you go to a fine arts or arts and crafts store and get the same brushes that are going to have better quality hair in them. So just consider that, like, it's all consumerism, right? But if you want a better brush for actual cheaper price, I would actually go to an arts and crafts store and get a pack of paint brushes. So with that being said, whatever brush works for you, whatever tool works for you is the best one. But if you want to have a plethora in your kit to try them out, go for it. So with that, the next thing we're going to look at is a schematic. So in your next module, you're going to learn about schematics if you're not familiar with them already. So a schematic is basically going to be a drawing of the application that you are going to create on your face or on your model's face. So you can choose to do in this class the makeup on yourself or on a model, whichever your preference is, or if you want to vary it up, that's also an option as well. But this will be a drawing that gives you an exact detail of how this makeup will be applied so that you can figure out what it looks like 2D, how your spacing needs to be, and then you'll get to apply it 3D onto the body. This also is a really great communication tool for, say, a client that you're doing a look on, or for your professor who also needs to know exactly how to grade you for this course. So with that, in this class, you'll also be taking some selfies or pictures of your model. Here I have the application photo from the schematic. So this is a former student of mine, Haley Ryan, who I just adore, and her work was incredible. So this was a project that we did that was called Bust. So think about like bust pieces of artwork where it's like shoulder up, and she chose to do an abstract monarch butterfly look. So you saw the schematic. Now these are 2 photos of this look on Haley. So the thing that I love that Haley did here is she's got a blank background, and she also put, this is so simple, everyone, she just has like a piece of black fabric. I think for this it was a t-shirt or a scarf, right? Something really simple. Just put it behind her to take the photo, and you can see the differentiation. Like, it looks so sleek up against that black background, and that may change for a variety of your photos. So play with that, have fun, make it look really great, because here's the beauty of this course. Once you've got these schematics and these photos, you have a brilliant, like, plethora of pieces to showcase your awesome work. So you're creating a portfolio, but you're also creating a lot of stories to share of the hard work that you're doing, and something really wonderful that you're learning. So with that being said, play with your photos, have fun with this. The course is going to be a little bit like a choose your own adventure course. Like, I'm going to give you the parameters of like, this is what this assignment is, but make sure to make it your own. If there's a topic that you really like, or if there's a story or a justification for an application that you're really into, like, play into your interests so that you find ways to dive into this course that you are automatically more interested in, so that you can dive into the work that feels unique to you. All right, that is all for the introduction. Once again, if you have any questions or just topics that you want to know more about, please reach out to me. I'm so happy to chat with you. I'm very, very excited for this course, and I will see you in the next module. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye.